tutorial starts with a song, but it's only a few seconds long.
Computer animation. Computer animation. Computer animation.
Let's get started with animation. This is a sound adventure, an adventure into G minor. G minor is one of many chords you can play on a piano. We'll model a piano, we'll import the G minor sound, and you can import whatever sound you have, and then we'll adjust both together, so when the keyboard is being played in the scene, we'll hear the sound. Pretty simple, yes, and pretty cool. So modeling the keyboard is going in several steps, and you can do it in totally different ways, but this is how I want to do it. So the key typically is sort of a cube which you scale into a certain direction. Let us straight away give it a new material. And the Arnold standard surface shader is ideal for it because it's white and shiny. Control D duplicates this object, and I move it slightly to the right. And now with the Shift D key, I duplicate it several times. Let's just duplicate the last key here, move it up a little bit, and position it over here. If this is meant to be a black key, we give it a black color. Right mouse click, new material, Arnold standard surface shader, and instead of white, we just move the slider all the way to the left, so we have a black key now. Of course, it's too long. The black keys are not as wide as the white keys, like this. And what we can do now to make it a slightly more sophisticated is we'll pick the vertices with the right mouse button here and move those a little bit inside and slightly back. We could bevel the key now and do different things with it, but this is, I think, just fine for our experiment. So this is the key number 1, and actually it sits much lower. And I want it to stick out at the bottom for a certain reason, which you see in a second what this is good for. I do the same thing as I did with the white keys. I duplicate it, Control D, and I move it to the right, like this. And in order to move it precisely, you could translate it now in units. For example, here translate X, that would be 1.774, but I'll do it just feeling wise, and this is how I do it. I duplicate it again with the Shift D key, and I do this several times, and you see that because I did not model things precisely, the black keys land in the wrong position, which is not a problem. We can fix this easily. So what we'll basically do is we'll look at the keyboard from the top and select these ones and move them slightly to the right. And then I deselect this one and move the next ones slightly to the right, deselect that one, and I continue doing this. Everybody who knows how to play a keyboard knows that there's something wrong with this one, because we need space here. Can be deleted. That one can be deleted. So we have units of 2 and 3. So this works nicely, and we can delete this key as well. This is a C, and this is a G. If you're not familiar with keyboards and pianos, this is the key C. And an easy way to remember that, because C is such a fundamental, basic key on any kind of keyboard, you can think of the piano in distributed black and white keys and 2, 3, 2, 3, and it continues like that. And left of the 2 section here with the 2 black keys is the C, that one. So when you go down here, that's another C. And here is the next C. Now we walk up to G, because this tutorial is about modeling a keyboard section and playing the chord G minor. So C, D, E, F, G. So we're at G now. And that's more advanced for you people who don't know anything about keyboards. This chord is G major. It sounds optimistic. And when I lower the middle one by half a note, so I use this key now, it's turning into a sad chord, which is a minor chord. And since it's based on G, it's a G minor chord. And that's the chord we're gonna animate in Maya now. Well, after this expedition into music playing, we'll select the cubes now, the black ones, and put them in a group, Control G. And we duplicate that group, Control D, and we hide that group so we see only one of them. The other one is like a backup. Now we want to cut out the white keys with the black keys. As far as I know, we cannot do this all at the same time. We need to do it one by one. So basically you're picking this key here and you're subtracting that key here. And now under modeling, you go to mesh, and right at the very top you have the Booleans. And union would be uniting both of these shells. That's certainly not what we want. We want the black one to cut out a little piece of the white one, and that's called a difference. If we would choose intersection, only the intersecting part, a tiny part probably, would be left, but the difference is just exactly what we need. And you see, this is a nice cutout, but here we have a problem. We don't want that to be there. That's why we undo it, select the whole group, and move the whole group slightly backward, like this. So we can cut the white keys properly, because the black ones penetrate them at the bottom and at the rear side. So let's do this again. We shift select the black key to the white first and then the black key, go to mesh, Booleans, difference, and now we have the exact cutting point which we want to have. We do the same thing with this key. We press the key G, so we repeat the last command, G, so that it cuts out these pieces here, G. And I continue. And now you can see why I have a duplicate of the black keys. That's Shift H. Now they're back here. These are duplicates. And I duplicate the whole group again by Control D and hide that group as the backup, because now I need a second cutting process. And the second one goes like this. I select this one and with a Shift key that one, and then I go to Mesh, Booleans, Difference. And as you can see, we have the same problem here. We undo this and move the whole group just a little bit to the back. And then we repeat that command. And this time we cut this key from this side here. So shift key and mesh Boolean's difference. Now we have the proper cutout. And then I repeat this. This time we're going from the left white key to the right black key. And it's good to have a backup in the hidden group, which will be our final black keys then. So this is a very proper keyboard. All piano constructors would love it. And now we go back to our hidden group, that's that one, and unhide it. And then the keys are back. They're actually not back, they're the new keys we have. This is a G. This is the, I think it's called B flat. In German it's called B. And the D here. And in order to play the keys, we need to rotate them. So let's have a look at, for example, this key. This is the G. I press the key E in order to rotate it, and this is what I get. It doesn't look bad, but it's not the way a piano is being rotated. That's why I select all the white keys now, like this, and I press Insert. The Insert key on the keyboard brings you the pivot. The pivot is the rotation point. And since I've selected all of the white keys, I have these nice yellow icons here, and I can move the slider back now. I could move it precisely in the side window, for example, but I think working in the perspective is quite alright for this. And then I press Insert again, and then the rotation of all the keys, the white keys, is set to the back here. So when I rotate that, it goes like this. This is exactly how a piano key works. Now I do the same thing with the black keys. And I can pick them easily here, for example, in the front window, like this. I do the same thing as before. I press Insert, and I move the pivot, as it's called, to the back of the black keys. Press Insert again, so I can rotate them all together like this, and they're fine. Now it's time to import sound. You can import sound in different ways. I think MP3 does not work, but AIFF works, and WAV, W-A-V, works as well. And what you would typically do is you put the sound file, in this case someone playing a chord on a piano, G minor in this case, you just place it in the sound folder of your project. And you can import it from there, or you can just drag and drop it from the Finder or the Explorer into that window or into the time slider down here. I'll do the import from using the import menu here, File, Import, and I need to navigate to my sound folder because that's where I put the G minor chord WAV. It's 2.2 megabytes because it's pretty small, and I import it now. And you see it arrive here. And when I play it, I can't hear anything. And the reason for that is that in most cases Maya plays back at a certain speed. Right mouse click in the timeline, Playback Speed, and here you have play every frame, maximum is real time. This is a very nice setting for most things, especially simulations. Play every frame free, that means it plays things as fast as it can. In this case, since nothing has to be animated, it would play things back at a drastic speed. But what we need is real time, because sound is a real time thing. So let's choose real time now, and then we can hear the sound. Now we don't want the sound to play from the very beginning, and we want to see the sound a little bit better. So we go to Windows and Settings, Preferences, Preferences. And here we have somewhere the sound. Under the settings, they are ordered in alphabetical order, so sound is here. And the sound slider is here. This is about the waveform, which is alright. And this is the time slider. And here you have the height of the wave. This is twofold. For example, this is fourfold. I think twofold is okay. And we save this so we see a little bit more of the sound. So we don't want the sound to play straight away from the very beginning, but start maybe after 3 seconds, which would be just about 80 frames, or 90. So we go with the right mouse button to Sound. And here we have the G minor chord. We could switch the sound off by doing this. Or we could, that's what we're going to do, use the option box here. This brings the attributes of the sound into my window. And there's a crucial value here, which is called offset. That's the top thing here, the audio attributes. It has an offset of 0. That means it starts like my original recording was. If we set this to, say, 80, the sound moves to frame 80 and it starts here. So we have silence, and then the chord plays. If we're not happy with that beginning here, for example, we can cut it away using the sequencer attributes. For example, by putting in for source start 4 frames, and then it cuts off the beginning of our sound, which doesn't sound nice anymore. It's not that smooth beginning. So we go back to 0 here. So the most used sound parameter is the offset. Offset it. You can offset it to a negative value as well. So the sound already plays before the whole animation starts. Okay, now we play G minor. It's an easy thing now. G, B flat, and D. Let's set a key for the rotation in this axis, which is the x-axis, for the 3 keys here. We can go to the channel box here by pressing Ctrl A, and here we can select or modify all the parameters at once. So for example, rotation X is 0, and I set a keyframe for all of them, keys selected. The keyframes appear here for the 3 keys, G, B flat, and D. That's G minor. And now we press it down like this, and we set another keyframe. Let's play back the animation. And now we need to get to release the keys, and you see it swings like this, and I think now we can release it. So we need to set another keyframe for the pressed keys, and then slowly release the keys like this. We can rotate them back feeling wise, but it's better to rotate them back to 0 and set the last keyframe. So this is the whole animation now. But of course, you never play the keys at the same time. So for example, let's go to this key here. Or let's choose the middle one, the B flat. Let's go to the Windows, the animation editor's graph editor. And here we see the key, the rotation for that key. We can move this slightly to the right by pressing the key W, which is the translate button. We can just move it like here, or I could just have typed in another value for the frame here. So we have a slight difference for the middle key now. can see, almost a little bit too much, but I think it's quite appropriate. We need, of course, a nice rendering.